Montana This Morning continues on Montana's News Leader.
Good morning to you. If you think the morning weather here is cold today, just be glad you're not in the Midwest. Coming up, the brutal effects of a polar vortex on the middle of the country.
I'm Emma Hamilton in Bozeman, where the city is finally able to push forward with the plans for the new public safety center. I'll have the details coming up next.
Happy Wednesday, Southwest Montana, 6:30. Chili and Missy O'Malley with you. Matt has our local forecast. In the meantime, on the national scene, millions of Americans being cautioned to stay indoors and out of the frigid temperatures today.
That's right. At least 6 deaths related to the polar vortex have been reported so far. Mike Puccinelli of CBS Chicago station WBBM has our latest.
The cold is no joke today.
Stay in the house.
Wind chill temperatures in parts of the Midwest are forecast to plunge to 40, 50, and even 60 below zero.
And it's like hard to take a breath in.
Some are taking it in stride.
The wind, definitely makes it a little bit colder, but it's not too bad.
While others are ready to hunker down.
Probably gonna be in my dorm all day, staying warm.
The dangerous cold has forced schools and businesses to shut down for the day. The Postal Service suspended delivery in some areas.
There's no type of mail in this world or package that is worth our safety.
Here in Chicago, we're expected to see record-breaking lows today. Officials are doing what they can to get the homeless off the streets.
No one in need of a safe or warm place to stay will be turned away. No one.
The city also turned 5 buses into mobile warming centers. The polar vortex is expanding over the United States as areas of low pressure and cold air near the North Poles move south into the northern hemisphere, bringing some of the coldest weather in a generation.
Please take precaution.
Governors in Illinois, Wisconsin, and Michigan declaring emergencies as temperatures continue to drop. Mike Puccinelli for CBS News, Chicago.
Now, the National Weather Service says a wind chill of -25 can freeze skin within 15 minutes.
Yeah, that fact right there is part of the reason this next story, this latest cold snap, also putting a freeze on mail delivery in parts of Montana. Today, mail delivery and collection will be suspended throughout the eastern part of the state. Representatives for the United States Postal Service could not tell MTN an exact range on cities affected, though. If you'd like to check on your area, there's a link with service alerts on our websites. Wind chills again across the region could reach as low as 40 degrees below zero.
Wow.
We mentioned how dangerous that can be in just a few minutes. This is not something to mess around with. Cold is cold, but this is dangerous cold.
And looking at the temperatures and the model output on this, very impressive. You can see wind chill could hit within 10 minutes in Green Bay. You'd start feeling the effects of that. 46 degrees below zero in Duluth, Minnesota. Man, 5 minutes and you'll see those dangers. And you see the, even as you head into the afternoon and evening, there's not a lot of change there. Temperatures here, very cold. You still want to bundle up. You want to dress in layers. Make sure you have your hat and gloves. The wind chill is making a factor early on in the day here as well, despite the fact that we have just light winds. Temperatures expected to be into the low 30s for the afternoon today. We are talking a warm up though. And we'll talk about the timing of that in just a few minutes.
Let's keep talking about that warm up. I love it. Thank you for that, Matt. Our top local story for you, a coal train derailed in Bozeman Pass yesterday at Trail Creek Road between Bozeman and Livingston.
Yeah, this happened about 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Montana Rail Link says coal was spilled because of the derailment. Train was not carrying any hazardous materials. No word on what caused the derailment. There were no injuries. Trail Creek Road itself does remain open.
And the Montana Commissioner of Political Practices has decided to dismiss Roger Koopmans' ethics and campaigns practice complaint against the city of Bozeman for its campaign efforts related to the new public safety center.
That complaint was filed by Mr. Koopman in Gallatin County District Court and was then filed by the city with the Commissioner's office on December 3rd. Now that the Commissioner has dismissed the complaint after an investigation, confirming the city did not violate any campaign practices, the question is, what happens next? TN's Emma Hamilton has the answer.
We take very seriously our responsibility to be transparent and to do things in an ethical way. And I believe that this decision by the Commissioner of Political Practices reaffirms that we did everything in that manner, and that this decision, again, that he made is something that we can move forward on and hopefully get this building built relatively quickly.
Having this complaint dismissed is just one of the hurdles the city is jumping over to get the construction of the new public safety center started. This decision will now go to the ethics board and the attorney who advises it. Following that, the city will then have to file a motion to ask Mr. Koopman to dismiss the case in district court. The city is hoping these decisions will move quickly.
So it did slow us down somewhat. We were able to begin some schematic design of the fire station portion because we already had designs of the police station portion and the court facility. So we were able to break the project up into smaller parts and work on smaller bits of design, but we will come upon a time very soon where we can't go any further unless we get a final decision.
With construction costs on the rise, every month the project is delayed could cost taxpayers approximately $200,000.
We hope that it will not. We're working very hard to keep moving forward on all the aspects that we can, but I think it has a potential to affect the cost, and so we're very concerned.
In Bozeman, Emma Hamilton, MTN News.
Just as a reminder, Bozeman Public Safety Center was passed by 60% of the voters back in November. We will continue to follow the story, bring you updates online and on air.
And a bill that would make it illegal for doctors to help patients take their own life had its first hearing yesterday at the state capitol. House Bill 284 would open doctors up to possible homicide charges if they were able to comply with patients' wishes and speed up patients' death by prescribing a lethal dose of medication. Assisted suicide is not explicitly legal in Montana, but the ruling of the 2009 Montana Supreme Court case Baxter versus Montana created what some call a loophole that allows the practice. Now, the bill's sponsor, Republican Carl Glimm of Kyla, Montana, compared physician-assisted suicide with Montana's high suicide rate, suggesting it sends the wrong message to people about suicide as a solution.
Every session, this body takes up legislation and spending bills to try and curb the suicide frequency in our veterans, our youth, and our Native American populations. This bill is an opportunity to send a consistent message about suicide from young to old, from healthy to sick, that it's not a good option.
Now, some of those who spoke in opposition to the bill see things differently. Roberta King is the daughter of Robert Baxter, the plaintiff in the Montana Supreme Court case that allowed physician-assisted suicide. She testified at the hearing saying the choice should be left to the patient, not the government.
People in Montana believe that we know how to take care of ourselves without government interference. We trust that our doctors will give us the best possible medical advice, and the Montana Supreme Court was right to agree.
Now, a similar bill to outlaw physician-assisted suicide in Montana failed during the 2017 legislature.
Staying on the statewide government news here for a moment, the New York Times this week reported on another sexual harassment accusation involving a former top aide to Governor Steve Bullock.
This time it happened at the Democratic Governors Association when Bullock chaired the group in 2015. MTN's Mike Dennison has more.
Kevin O'Brien ran Bullock's 2012 campaign and also was the governor's deputy chief of staff in 2013. He later left that job and worked for the Democratic Governors Association in D.C. while Bullock was its chair in 2015, and joined the staff of New York Mayor Bill de Blasio in 2016. 2 weeks ago, the New York Times reported that O'Brien resigned his post as senior advisor to Mayor de Blasio in March last year, after 2 women accused him of sexual harassment. Now, this week, the Times is reporting that O'Brien also was fired from the DGA in December 2015, accused of sexually harassing a female employee. The governor confirmed to MTN News Tuesday that he knew about the accusations leveled against O'Brien at the DGA and said he agreed with the firing. In a statement to the Times, Bullock said, "Clearly not enough was done to protect the women in New York, and that he's committed to doing his part to put an end to sexual harassment." Bullock's office told MTN News that O'Brien had never been accused of any harassment while working for the governor in Montana. O'Brien has issued an apology for his actions, saying there is no excuse for his behavior. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Now, you are able to read Mike Dennison's full story on those incidents on our websites. It is time for a quick break here on Montana This Morning. Here's a quick look ahead on Montana This Morning as well as CBS This Morning.
Sports Talk Radio is alive and well at Super Bowl 53. I'm Mola Lengi in Atlanta, Georgia, with the sights and sounds from Radio Row.
Good morning. Ahead here on CBS This Morning, we'll reveal the popular fruit juices that may contain contaminants called heavy metals. Anna Werner has the results of a brand new report and the potential long-term risk of exposure, as well as reaction from the juice makers who say their products are safe. And we're getting ready for Super Bowl 53 right here on CBS. We'll talk to Patriots owner Bob Kraft, take a behind-the-scenes tour of Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and talk to Jim Nantz and Tony Romo about how they are preparing to call this big game. See ya at 7.